Ho!
Ho!
Welcome back, everybody.
Back.
It's
Body?
Tuesday.
Oh, yeah. It is Tuesday when they're hearing this.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
I don't know, man. We welcome back to episode 60 of the Below Average Joe's MMA podcast. Today, we are previewing hashtag UFC Fight Island 8, headlined by a big scrap at welterweight, Michael Kiesa, Neil Magny, Dominic Salee. How you doing?
We're recording on a Monday. Episode going up on a Tuesday. I'm confused, just to be honest with you. But you know, this is one of those cards where we really get to dig into some lesser-known guys and gals. Mm-hmm. And those are the ones that we live for here on this podcast, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's really true. I mean, we love the big fights like everybody else.
Of course.
But as podcasters, is now people that are given a platform that's meant to inform the public.
They're part of the media.
Right. Now, we have a responsibility to do our homework on some of these lesser-known fights and get you listening at home excited for them.
And I'm going to be honest, it's fun.
It is fun. And we have a 6-fight main card, and there are some great fights on
Yes.
here. And some of the fights we're not even going to talk about from the prelims are really good. Shout out to guys like Umar Nurmagomedov. He's going to be cornered by Khabib. Then you got guys like Marcus Perez, the guy that always does the Joker makeup.
Yep.
Then you got Sue Matareji. Be on the lookout for him, a young flyweight that looked fantastic in his last fight. Ricky Simone's fighting on this card.
Perennial.
The headliner of the prelims, Omar Yakhmadov. That's a top 15 middleweight.
Yep.
Going up against Tom Breeze.
The crafty vet.
Yeah, so I'm very excited to watch some of those. Hopefully I'll get to watch most of them. You know, this is going to be happening while I'm working. So, you know, I'll try to just kind of have it on in the background while I'm doing my thing, you know. I gotta be focused on my job, you know. I can't be can't be watching too many fights.
I tell you, if we've got any listeners out in the West Coast, woo, you're in for an early morning, 9 a.m. on the West Coast for the main card.
I wonder what time that means it would be.
So in Abu Dhabi, in the UK, I think they're 5 hours ahead of us, so they're getting like a 5 p.m. start time.
Oh, okay.
Which is good for them. I mean, they always have to suffer through.
Yeah, that's why I always know they're suffering with the pay-per-view, so I wasn't sure. But yeah, we are like kind of halfway through our big 6 episodes in 10 days.
This will be the third one, yeah.
Yeah, back-to-back days here that we're recording. It's nice.
It is refreshing, especially when we did that whole month of just one a week.
Yeah.
Now we're just back into the groove. Fights are happening. News is happening. And more importantly, the podcast is happening.
Yeah, and we're creeping very close to Saturday's pay-per-view, Dom.
Our very first time breaking down Connor. Our very first time breaking down Dustin. Our very first time breaking down Dan Hooker. Our very first time breaking down Michael Chandler. We're going to have a blast.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun. Amanda Hiva's first time breaking down her.
Yep.
If you guys haven't yet, go check out. If you follow me or Dom on Twitter or Instagram, or maybe even if you follow the podcast, I don't know if you've shared it on there. Dominic did a breakdown of Amanda Ribas and Marina Rodriguez with Overtime Heroics.
Yep.
Obviously, Dom is now a part of the MMA Elite.
Yeah.
He is now a writer for Overtime Heroics. We're very proud of him here on this podcast.
It's all because of them.
It was
the support.
It was a great breakdown. I really enjoyed listening to it, but I refused to listen to your prediction because
you need to go all the way down to the bottom and then cover it up. So you don't see my prediction, but you see everything else.
I don't read the prediction. I read your breakdown of each fighter, and it even informs me a little bit.
It's fun. It's been fun so far. I look forward to expanding my experience.
And you had a choice. You could have broke down McGregor Poirier if you wanted to, but you chose to do Amanda Ribas and Marina Rodriguez, and that shows your love for Amanda Ribas and Marina Rodriguez.
It's true.
I think.
I'm a huge fan of Amanda, and I can't wait to see her fight. But for Marina Rodriguez, she's a great fighter. Slept on, but this is number 8 versus number 9. They're kicking off the main card. I personally can't wait for that fight.
I think you surprised yourself from what you told me when you were writing. You wrote more about her than Amanda.
Yeah, and as a whole, this preview breakdown of them two actually was longer than my Holloway Cater breakdown.
Yeah, who would have saw that coming, right? It's just that's kind of the way it goes when you're doing fighters that are. Yeah, sure, Amanda's got some big star potential. Marina's obviously a top 15 ranked, but they're lesser known than Max and Cater at this point.
Yeah.
So it's kind of necessary to make those a little longer. There's less there's less that you can just leave on the cutting room floor and
Right.
be like, oh, everybody knows that already about them. You know,
You got to kind of show them the careers. I mean, they're both young in their career.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that fight.
Yep, but we're not there yet. Obviously, we got a big card Wednesday.
Yep.
Originally scheduled to be headlined by Leon
Could have
Edwards
been.
and Hamzat Chimaev. That fight got moved to March. But luckily, we did have a big co-main here that's being propped up to main event. This will be 5 rounds, correct?
Yes, and this is an important fight for that
It
division.
is.
For both of these guys.
For both of their careers, this
Yeah.
is huge for both of them because I have compared these two
Yep.
multiple times on this podcast in that they are both guys who will look damn good, damn impressive right when you start to buy into them and they get placed in that kind of
That one big fight.
that big fight where it's like if you win this, you're in title contention area. They falter,
Yeah.
they lose.
And now it's that point again for both, and they're fighting each other.
Yeah, so it makes a lot of sense. I'm very excited for both these guys. I think it's a big fight for both of them.
And basically, what this means is it's going to be a draw.
Yeah, exactly. But we will get to that later. There's no news in this episode. If you want news, go watch yesterday's episode. So we're going to jump right into breaking down these fights here. We start
6 fights.
Six
baby.
fights. We start at featherweight. Lerone Murphy going up against Douglas Silva de Andrade. Dominic, you got some work to do here.
Yeah, some featherweight action. Lerone is 9-0 with 1 draw, 6 KO TKOs. He's 1-0 in the UFC with the draw as well. He did have a win over Ricardo Ramos via TKO, and that draw that he had was with Zubaira Tuhugov, which we've mentioned is fighting this week. And all 6 of those KO TKOs for Lerone have came in the first round. For Douglas, 26-3, 19 KO TKOs, 1 submission, 4-3 in the UFC. Been in there with some tough competition. He's got wins over Chito Vera via unanimous decision, and also formerly one of the best fighters pound for pound in the world back in the day, Henan Barao. That was also via unanimous decision. And then losses to Zubaira Tuhugov via decision. Got submitted by Rob Font, as funny as that is, the boxer from the New England Cartel. And then got TKO'd by the bantamweight champion, Petr Yan. 11 of his 20 finishes have came in the first round. This is a fun fight to start the card.
I agree, and it's a fight where, look, you know what Andrade is going to try to do here.
Yeah.
Guy's got 26 wins, 19 of them are by knockout. He's a very short but just stout. I mean, that man is like built like a brick shithouse. Like the dude's just fucking jacked.
Like beast.
Yeah, so he's definitely going to be that kind of guy that puts his head between his arms and just like he'll try to block everything to the head and just throw some huge overhands and things like that. For Lerone Murphy, there's less known about him here. Like, what are we going to see here? But it's another guy who TKOs a lot of people.
True.
Less of a sample size.
Yeah.
You know, 9-0 and 1, so 10 professional fights going
Versus
up against
29
That's
fights.
almost triple. And Andrade, I would have even said at one point in time, very underrated. I mean, those 3 losses are against, Tukugov is yet to really take that leap. But Tukugov has shown a lot of promise.
Yeah. And
While Rob
Petr
Font
Yan,
and Petr Yan champion.
Yeah.
Rob Font
now top 5.
now top 5 and coming off his biggest win of his career. I would go as far to say Andrade is a very underrated fighter. A guy who's never really been top 15, but you look at his record, you look at, not just his losses, but a win over a guy like Marlon Vera. That's very impressive. However, the man's 35 now. He's 35, and you've seen kind of, even though this is the first time we're seeing him since November 2019. He beat Henan Barao, like you mentioned. And really, that's been kind of the story. Since that fight, he's been less active. He fought once in 2016, once in 2017, twice in 2018, once in 2019, and 0 times in 2020. Yeah. So, I'm kind of thinking that we've seen the best of him already, as unfortunate as that is to say. While Lerone Murphy, that guy being 29, being the much younger fighter, not only younger by age, 29 versus 35, not a huge difference. However, fight years wise, this guy's a lot younger. So does Andrade kind of have is that a veteran quality
the
going to show
experience
through?
and the veteran quality, like you said, and then just the fight quality as well that he's faced is obviously higher. Now, real quick, just so people aren't too confused, this is at 145 pounds. The fight's with Font and Petr Yan. What was kind of the career path for Andrade here?
Okay, so Andrade fought most of his career at featherweight. So he fought at featherweight all the way from his first professional fight in 2007 all the way until he lost to Tukugov in 2014. So it's 7 years. Then he goes to bantamweight, beats Cody Gibson, Henry Briones, loses to Rob Font, beats Chito Vera, loses to Petr Yan, and then in his last fight he went back up to featherweight and beat Renan Barão.
Gotcha.
That's been the career path. So in my head, this also is not an easy guy to finish. I mean, 3 losses. Yeah. It doesn't lose a lot. Yeah. 2 of his 3 via finish, 1 knockout loss, 1 submission loss, and that TKO was a corner stoppage, so not, he got beat up.
Yeah.
Petr Yan's an excellent striker.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm going Lerone Murphy here. I think he's going to be the faster guy, the more athletic fighter. I think that's going to show through here. However, I think I'm actually going to go via decision. I think Andrade might just be too bullheaded, just too much left to really get finished. But I think that speed's going to be tough to handle for him.
I'm going the opposite direction here. I'm going with the veteran. I think it's going to pay dividends here with the experience, the level of competition. There's so many more fights. I think this is going to be a good fight, a good way to open a main card. But I'm going with Douglas Andrade here via decision.
Yeah, I could totally see it going either way there. A lot of it just depends on what kind of Andrade we're getting here.
Mm-hmm.
Even in his losses, he hasn't looked like bad.
Right.
And he's always a guy that just comes in ready to just knock someone's head off. But, 35, fought 30 times professionally.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? He could look electric out there, or he could look like he's taking a step backwards. We just have to wait and see. Now we get to our flyweight fight, and I got a bone to pick with Google here. So our matchup here is Max Schnell going up against Tyson Nam. This is that flyweight. We're big.
Flyweight advocates.
We are kind of like, how parents are very protective of their children, right?
Yeah.
We are like the mom and dad of the flyweight division.
Yeah.
We protect our little flyweights, right?
Yes.
We don't like when they get picked
slandered on.
Yeah, slandered. So whenever this is a little bit pull back the curtain. Whenever we break down cards, I'll pull up every fighter's either if they have a Wikipedia page or if it's like Sherdog or something like that. So I looked up Max Schnell thinking that I could just search his name and it would pop up. That's not what popped up. What actually popped up was Max Schnell from the movie Cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just start seeing all these animated cars pop up on my screen for Max Schnell.
Okay, wait. I have one question here. I thought that the fighter's name is Matt Schnell.
Oh, it is Matt Schnell. Yeah.
It makes more sense.
How,
Wait, so there's only one way to find out here. Type in Matt instead of Max and see what shows up. Okay. We figured it out.
Yeah, I think we figured out what the problem was there. Still.
We're protective of them.
How freaking, that's how protective we are.
Yeah.
Is that even when
we were about to call out Disney and Cars.
I was about to literally hit up Google and be like, what the fuck's going on here? But no, it is Matt Schnell.
Okay.
I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry, Google. I'm sorry, Dom, for getting you all worked up.
No, it's fine.
Schnell.
We got to the bottom of it.
Matt Schnell, Tyson Nam at flyweight. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Tyson is 20-11, 12 KO TKOs, 1 submission. He's 2-2 in the UFC. Those 2 losses, Sergio Pettis via unanimous decision, now in Bellator, and then Kai Kara France, we're a big fan of his, also via unanimous decision. 8 of those 13 finishes have came in the first round for Tyson. For Matt, he's 14-5, 2 KO TKOs, 8 submissions. He's 4-3 in the UFC with some really good competition. He's got wins over Luis Smolka via submission, also submitted Jordan Espinoza, and then has lost to Rob Font, funny enough. Mm-hmm. And then that was via TKO, and then got KO'd by Alexandre Pantoja. And then 9 of his 10 finishes have came in the first round. This is another fun fight, and then I love that the flyweights can get on another main card no matter what day of the week it's on, you know?
Yeah, true.
Especially with these two crafty veterans, been in there with a lot of good competition. I see a really good, fast-paced battle here. I am going with Mr. Matt Schnell via decision, however.
It's Matt Schnell, right?
Yes, Matt.
So you said via decision?
Yep.
Ooh, yeah. I totally see it going the same way. The flyweights constantly bring that fast-paced action. Mm-hmm. However, we have very much a stylistic matchup here. Schnell being the guy who is much more apt to take things to the ground and submit you, while Tyson Nam is much more likely to finish it on the feet. And also, I guess on the reverse end of that, for Schnell anyways, he has been knocked out 3 times in his 5 losses, while Tyson Nam has never been submitted. That adds a bit of a layer here to this fight. Schnell, he's the guys he's been knocked out by: Rob Font, Hector Sandoval, then Alexandre Pantoja. Gosh. All via first round finish. I really appreciate what Schnell brings to the table here, and that he is a submission specialist. I mean, look how protective I was of him 5 minutes ago. However, I think Tyson Nam is going to get a big win here. I'm actually going to go via first round KO TKO.
Ooh, alrighty, alright.
It's, it could totally not go that way. I mean, really, Tyson Nam doesn't have a ton of big wins on his resume. His biggest was probably Ali Bogatinov. That's a guy who had fought Demetrius Johnson for the belt back in the day, but that was also for Fight Night's Global 64 in 2017. In the UFC, he's 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
He is a top 15 flyweight due to his wins over Adeshev and Jerome Rivera, but his bigger, well-known
two biggest fights were both
Kai Kara France, Sergio Pettis, he lost both, but he looked impressive in his last 2 fights, both wins. One of them in 32 seconds, the other one 34 seconds into the second round.
Now, I have one question here on Schnell before we get going to the next fight.
Okay.
The fight with Rob Font. Was Schnell up at 135 at one point?
It was his bantamweight debut, and then he returned to
the one and only.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
So, that being at bantamweight also is kind of like maybe an asterisk on it. Like, okay, he just wasn't his body wasn't big enough to hang with that. But the KO losses at flyweight speak for themselves. Pantoja. So I'm gonna go Nam via first round KO TKO. But
I like that. I love a good knockout.
But it's kind of like one of those things where just because I'm predicting a first round finish doesn't mean I think he's elitely better than Schnell. It's just I could totally just see him getting caught, and I think he'll have a harder time being able to hold Nam on the ground.
Yeah.
Now we move on.
Roxanne.
Our women's fight on the main card, women's flyweight action.
The Happy Warrior.
Roxanne Modafferi going up against Vivian Arroyo. Take it away.
This is fun. This is interesting. So Roxanne, we've actually gotten to talk about her once before on the podcast. A true pioneer of women's mixed martial arts. Check the record here. 25 wins, 17 losses. You're not going to find many other women's mixed martial artists professionally that have over 40 fights. But here's Roxanne. She's got 4 KO TKOs, 5 submissions. She's 4-4 in the UFC, and it's literally been a pattern. Loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win. We'll see if the pattern continues on Wednesday. She's got wins over Andrea Lee twice. Once was at Invicta back in 2014. That was via split decision. And then most recently, that was her last fight against Andrea Lee. That one was via unanimous decision. She also beat Antonina Shevchenko, Valentina's sister, if you did not know that, via split decision. And then took out the superstar, the future Macy Barber, via unanimous decision. Her losses, we're going way back to Mars Bodog fight in 2006. A submission loss to Shayna Baszler. Also has lost to Sarah Kaufman via KO, which was a slam, back at Strikeforce number 9 in 2010. Lost to Raquel Pennington at the Ultimate Fighter Season 18 finale in 2013 via unanimous decision. has lost to Jennifer Maia, who just fought for the title at women's flyweight. She's lost to her twice. Once at Invicta FC 19 back in 2016. That was a split decision. And then once in the UFC via unanimous decision. Also lost to the very first women's flyweight champion, Nico Montano. That was a unanimous decision. Lost to Sajara Eubanks via unanimous decision. And then her last loss was against Lauren Murphy, also via decision. Lauren Murphy on a tear right now in that division. For Vivian, 9-2, 3 KO TKOs, 4 submissions. She's 3-1 in the UFC. She's got wins over Alexis Davis and Montana De La Rosa, both via unanimous decision. That lone UFC loss was to Jessica Ai, who's fighting at UFC 257. That was via unanimous decision. 4 of her 7 finishes have came in round number 1. What are your thoughts on this fight?
I like this fight. I like it quite a bit. You got Roxanne, who is kind of a low-key pioneer for women's MMA. I think she's, after the Macy Barber win, I think she's kind of gotten that recognition a little more. While Vivian's much of this new wave, much of old school versus new school here when you're talking style-wise. You know, Roxanne is a grinder, man. She'll grind out a victory. Out of her 25 wins in her career, 16 of them by decision.
She
17 losses, 13 of them by decision. 29 decisions. So you know that she can go 3 rounds.
She's not going to get tired.
Nope. For Vivian, 9 wins, 7 of them via finish.
Yeah.
And very split. 3 knockout, 4 submission wins. She's looked damn good in her career. Mm-hmm. However, I know she had a loss before this, but that Jessica Ai loss was a bit concerning. She showed some holes in her game. I was able to kind of dictate the pace of that fight. And while Jessica Ai is good, don't get me wrong, and that was when she was surging at that time, it definitely concerned me, especially when you're talking about, like, okay, when she's going up against someone who exceeds the experience that she has. Mm-hmm. It seems like maybe her fight IQ just isn't quite up to the level of some of these veterans. And who has a better fight IQ than Roxanne Modafferi?
She's been there and done that. Yeah. So I have one question here, really quick.
Yeah.
What is Roxanne's age off the top, if it's showing here?
It is 38.
And then, so if I'm not mistaken, Vivian, even though she's only got 11 fights, I'm pretty sure Vivian's actually 34, funny enough.
She is.
So that could be, an interesting little factor here. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's good. I tend not to take too much into account the actual age.
At least the fight years.
Fight years matter more to me, I should say. However, Roxanne's got the fight years and she's got age.
Yeah.
So Vivian's going to be the much more, like I kind of talked about in the first fight, she's going to be the faster fighter. She's going to be the more explosive fighter. Mm-hmm. She's obviously going to be the fighter who's going to be more, got that like killer instinct, looking for a finish type thing. But is it going to matter if Roxanne is just such on another level when it comes to her intelligence in the fight game and being able to make those mid-fight adjustments? I have a hard time with this one. It might sound like I'm leaning Roxanne, but I'm actually going to go with Vivian Arroyo here via decision.
I agree. That's what I'm going
with.
Now,
I was very tempted to get a finish for her here, but Roxanne, man, she just doesn't get finished very much.
All 8 UFC fights have been decisions.
Yeah, and she's fought some tough-ass women in these divisions. I mean, wasn't finished by Lauren Murphy or Jennifer Maia or Sajara Eubanks or Nico Montano.
Yeah.
It's really hard to finish her. 4 of her 17 losses via finish. So Vivian, if there's someone who can do it, Vivian can. But I do think, again, kind of like what I said in the first fight, I think that explosiveness, that speed, and the fact that she's very well-rounded talent-wise. She can take the fight to the ground. Yep. She can stand. And Roxanne's a little bit more one note as a fighter. She doesn't have much interest in staying on the feet.
Yeah, she definitely wants it on the ground, that's for sure.
But I'm just not even 100% sure if her going to the ground is even going to work out for her. It's Vivian's very... She looks for those openings and will pull off a submission if she has to.
Yeah, and I mean, this is an important fight. Roxanne is ranked 8th, Vivian ranked 9th. And then we've got Jessica Ai and Joanne Calderwood 6 and 7 fighting on Saturday. Mm-hmm. There could be some fights coming of these two for all we know. So this is important. Don't let it slip your mind here. Ranked fighters on this card all over the place. So.
Completely agree. But I'm excited for that one. We'll see what happens there.
Now this one. This is the one.
Dominic's got a lot to say about this fight. So we're at light heavyweight now. Isaac Villanueva going up against Vinicius
That's
Moreira.
a badass name.
Vinicius Moreira. Now, obviously, most of you probably just went, who are those guys?
We're about to let them know.
Dominic's going to let you know right now.
Yeah, so Isaac is 17-11, 14 KO TKOs. He is 0-2 in the UFC. He's got losses to Chase Sherman via TKO, Jordan Wright via TKO. Also lost to Trevin Giles back at LFC 59. That was in 2016 via submission. All 14 of Isaac's finishes have came in the first round. 10 of his 11 losses have came via finish. Okay. On to the blue corner. Vinicius is 9-4. 1 KO TKO, 8 submissions. Sound the alarm. That's 9 for 9. Perfect finish rate, 100%. He's technically 0-3 in the UFC, but he has a win on the Contender Series. So I'm going to say he's 1-3 and be nice. Right. He's got losses. Man, killer's row, by the way, in these fights in the UFC. Got TKO'd by Alonzo Minifield, KO'd by Eric Anders, and then submitted by Paul Craig. All top competition there. 6 of his 9 finishes have came in the first round. All 4 of his losses have also came via finish. Someone is going to sleep in this fight, Noah, and it's going to happen relatively quickly.
I mean, we would think, right? I don't know.
There's no way this fight is going to be boring.
There's a reason this is on the main card.
Exactly.
Because on paper,
they are combined 0-5 in the UFC. It's on the main card for a reason, damn it.
On paper.
Well, hey, dare I say one of those O's has got to go in the reverse way. I'm just saying.
Those O's
I'm just saying.
On paper, this is a bit of a shit sandwich of a fight.
It could be a fun one.
But that's why I think this fight could be a lot of fun. I think this definitely has the potential to be a wild brawl.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be done and done early, first round.
Yes.
And I'm going, and I think Isaac Villanueva is the one swinging the hammer.
Yes, I agree.
In the wise words of Chael Sonnen back in the day.
We're both going Villanueva first round KO TKO. So.
Yeah. For Moreira, I do want to give him a little bit of respect. His 3 losses have been a killer's row, like you said. Alonzo Menifield, Eric Anders, Paul Craig. But even though those are very stout competition, all first-round finishes.
Yeah.
So, obviously, that's showing he's not on that level. But it's like, okay, what level is he on? Well, he's better than John Allen Arte. Well, Arte lost his last fight. You know? Is he really UFC caliber? I don't think so.
See, and it's crazy because when you look at that competition, it's like, when you win on the Contender Series, they're throwing you into the wolves.
Yeah.
The fact that they did it boom, boom, boom is surprising to me, but hey, I mean, they clearly saw something in him, but he just hasn't lived up to it since Contender Series.
No, man, I mean, they really
loser here could be on the chopping
truthfully
block.
They must have really saw something in him right away to give him guys like Menifield, and after losing go, okay, we'll put you in a step down.
Yeah. Eric
Anders, former Alabama linebacker.
Yeah.
A guy who's headlined a fight night before. Yep. And then after that go, okay, we'll give you a step down and top 15 light heavyweight Paul Craig. It's like part of me almost wants to pick him just because he's had a tougher go of it. But Villanueva's had his tough. I mean, Jordan Wright's still a very tough prospect. Yeah. Chase Sherman is no slouch. And then you mentioned Trevin Giles. Yeah, that was a long time ago, but still, even Justin Ledette's a guy who's fought in the UFC. This is another fight that again could go either way. Villanueva's definitely going to be the, I would say, bigger fighter here. Well, Moreira's actually taller, but he's a bit lankier. Yeah. While Villanueva's a bit thicker of a guy. I think that knockout power is just going to be too much. That's the way I'm leaning.
This is our fight to watch out for on the main card for sure.
Yeah, it could also go really poorly, and it could be a really boring ass fight, right?
Never know.
Kind of like Carlos Felipe and what was that? The guy who had lost to Greg Hardy, Jorgen De Castro.
Yeah.
We thought that. Remember, we were like, "Oh, this fight has to be
crazy.
This fight has to end in a knockout, right?"
Yeah, it did.
It was boring as fuck. Anyways, co-main event time.
Big one. Munir's back, baby.
This is my prediction for fight of the night.
Ooh, I may just have to agree with that, potentially.
Welterweight action. And that's actually the same for the main event, too. Warley Alves going up against Munir Lazzez. If you watched our episode talking about the documentary that the UFC did it was called Fight Island Declassified. Munir was a fixture on there for like an episode
and was featured on there for a reason. You know.
So go ahead and take it away.
Yeah. So Munir's 10-1. He's fighting out of the Dubai, the UAE region over there. He's got 8 KO TKOs. He's 1-0 in the UFC. That win was against Abdul Al Hassan via unanimous decision. They got fight of the night, if I'm not mistaken.
It was an awesome
at Fight Island. And then 5 of those 8 KO TKOs have came in the first round. For Warley, he's 13-4, 3 KO TKOs, 6 submissions. He's 7-4 in the UFC. So this is fun. He has wins over Alan Joban, Noah's guy. That was unanimous decision.
I do like Joban a lot.
Now check this here. Submitted in the first round. How long into the first round?
A minute 26 seconds.
A minute 26 seconds into the first round. Guillotine?
Yep.
Guillotine submission victory over Colby Covington. The only one of 2 men to have ever defeated Colby Covington, Warley Alves, on the co-main event. And then Colby goes on a tear, though. Gets to fight for a title, and the only other guy he's lost to is freaking Kamaru Usman.
Yep.
It's crazy. And then has a win over Sergio Moraes. That was via KO. He's lost to Brian Barberena. Love saying that last name. Via unanimous decision. Has lost to the current champion, Kamaru Usman, via decision. And then got TKO'd by James Krause. And has a submission loss to Randy Brown. I think that was his last fight.
Yep.
And then 4 of his 9 finishes have came in the first round.
That's a very tough run for him. You see the kind of 500 career he's had after the Colby win. He beat Colby Covington. He was 10-0.
Yeah.
Since then, he's went 3-4. But those 4 losses are all very stout competition. I mean, Barberena, Usman obviously being the champion, Krause, and Randy Brown. Those 3 of those 4 being more prospects or kind of in that range. Barberena's had tough fights with. What's that? Vicente Luque.
Yeah.
That was on the first ESPN card, and they had like a fight of the night type amazing fight.
And if you've ever seen James Krause fight, he's James never Krause, in a boring fight.
And then Randy Brown, much the same mold. He's went up against guys like Nico Price. And,
he's fought recently too.
Yeah, he has. He's been staying pretty active. We haven't seen Warley Alves in over a year, so November 2019 kind of been I've seen a few of those on this card.
Yeah.
Munir, this was the guy. If any of you heard the story,
love this
about Dana White. I believe it was for his son's birthday. Was out to eat with his son, some of his son's friends. One of his son's friends, I believe, has either got roots in the UAE or
I think his dad works out there, so they live there sometimes and whatnot.
And so he was telling Dana basically you need to get this guy on a card because Munir, being from the UAE, a lot of his fights out in the UAE, and Dana said, "Fuck it,
I'll do it." And
he put him up against Abdul Razak Al Hassan, who I know got knocked out very swiftly in his fight with Chaos Williams, but a guy who was on.
I think Al Hassan going into this fight was undefeated before Lazzez.
He might have been. He was the one that I don't know if he was undefeated, but he was
top prospect, man. I mean,
he was a guy who's so explosive, but he had to take a long time off.
Yeah.
Due to the fact that he had some legal troubles.
And a lot of his wins that came via KO. I think all of them, as a matter of fact.
Yep.
For Al Hassan.
All 10. And he wasn't undefeated. He had lost to Omari Akhmedov via split decision. But he was 10-1 going into this fight. Munir gets hurt very early, and Al Hassan, being that explosive killer instinct,
fight was awesome.
He was going in for the kill, and Dana said he's watching. He's going, "Oh my gosh, what did I do?
Yeah,
maybe I shouldn't have listened." But then Lazzez comes back, and they have just a wild fight. But Lazzez gets to win, and rightfully so. And he looked damn good after being hurt early on.
Which Fight Island card was that? Was that Whitaker too?
No, I think that was before that.
Gotcha.
It was, actually, it's on Cater versus Egan.
Oh, it was the very first Fight Island card. Or the first fight night on Fight Island, I should say.
Exactly. So, This is the first time we're seeing him since then. Warley Alves, again, didn't see him in 2020, been a little inactive. But again, I think Munir is much in that same range right now as a Randy Brown, as a James Krause. He's in that prospect mold. And certainly Alves can do some damage here and get a win, 9 finishes and 13 wins.
Yeah.
But I think Munir is going to have the upper hand here. I definitely am siding with a lot of the young guys on this card, and that's not going to change here. I mean, Warley Alves is only 30 years old.
Yeah. What is Munir?
Actually, Munir's older.
He's 33. Wow.
He's 33. See, this is, again, I'm going less off the actual age and more off the fight years. But yeah, Munir, the older guy, but he's in his physical prime right now.
Yeah, he is.
I'm going to go via a third round KO TKO.
Okay. I think we're going to get a really good fight here. I am going to go fight of the night. I'll do it with you.
Yeah.
I'll go fight of the night, Lazzez and Alves. I've got Munir taking a decision similar to the fight with Al Hassan. Maybe not quite as crazy and hectic as that one, but this is going to be a really good 3-round fight, in my opinion.
I agree. Now we move on.
A very big main event.
The main
You can't sleep on this main event.
Of the evening.
Of the morning, for us.
Yeah. Also at welterweight, Michael Kiesa versus Neil Magny. I know you got a lot on this fight.
Yeah, number 8 versus number 9. Michael Chiesa 17-4, 11 submission victories, 10-4 in the UFC. Wins over Al Iaquinta via submission. Got a decision victory over Francisco Trinaldo. Submitted Jim Miller. Submitted Beneil Dariush. We love that guy. Submitted Carlos Condit. Has a decision victory over Diego Sanchez. And then a unanimous decision victory over Rafael dos Anjos. Is 3-0 at welterweight since making the move up from 155. Mm-hmm. He has losses to Jorge Masvidal way back in the early, like 2013 or something. That was via submission, funny enough. Got TKO'd by Joe Lozon, submitted by Kevin Lee, and then also got submitted by Anthony Pettis. 5 of those 11 submissions have come in the first round. Neil Magny, 24-7. We've gotten to break him down once before. He's got 7 KO TKOs, 3 submissions, 17-6 in the UFC. That was the same record Max Holloway had going into his fight with Cater on Saturday.
I just want to say, not to cut you off, and I like that stat there. Dana White actually giving a shout out to Neil Magny in one of his interviews, saying that guy doesn't get the credit for being a guy like, we gave a lot of credit to guys like Kevin Holland and to Hamzat for their willingness to just take fights week to week.
Neil wanted Hamzat.
And Neil
was like the only guy that wanted him.
And Dana even said Neil's been doing that for a long time.
Yep.
He's been a guy that's been always willing to step up. But go ahead and continue.
Yeah, man. I mean, you couldn't have put it better. He's got wins over Tim Means, unanimous decision, split decision over Eric Silva, split decision over Kelvin Gastelum, TKO'd Hector Lombard, a unanimous decision over Big Rig Johnny Hendricks, decision victory over Carlos Condit, decision victory over your boy Li Jing Liang, who we just saw on Saturday, decision over Anthony Rocco Martin, and then that most recent fight with Robbie Lawler, dominated from start to finish, unanimous decision victory there. Both these guys riding 3-fight win streaks coming into this main event. He's got losses to Sergio Moraes via submission. Got submitted by Damian Maia, but who doesn't get submitted by Damian Maia?
Right.
He got TKO'd by Lorenz Larkin, submitted by Rafael dos Anjos, and then KO'd with Santiago Ponzinibbio, who also just fought this past Saturday. That's the last time that Neil has lost. That was late 2018, if I'm not mistaken.
November 2018.
So, this is one of the tougher fights that I know it's only our second fight card breakdown of the year. This might be the toughest fight to choose so far out of the, what is now 11 fights we've done so far.
I just have a really hard time predicting how this fight's going to go. The one element that these two share that I think we'll see a lot of is clinch.
Grappling, clinching, yeah.
I think clinching is going to be a big part of this fight. Neil Magny constantly likes to close that distance. He loves doing that. And Kiesa, being such a good grappler, is going to welcome that wholeheartedly. However, I'm not so sure who's going to really have the upper hand here. If it's Kiesa, I definitely think you're going to see him having a lot of top position, a lot of groundwork, a lot of getting Magny to the ground. If Magny gets the upper hand, I think it's going to be due to him being able to keep that distance closed,
Yeah.
maybe put Magny up against the cage and just hitting him with some dirty boxing, things like that.
Yeah.
That's really the way I see this fight going either way. Not really much else to say there. Both these guys, again, very similar careers. I've compared them to each other so much. And now they're both on 3-fight win streaks.
Yeah.
Both neck and neck in the rankings.
The next fight for the winner here is going to be a top 5 guy,
This
more
is
than likely.
a beautiful piece of matchmaking.
Oh, yeah, it is. Perfect.
I'm going Michael Kiesa. I think Kiesa being the more, I guess, thicker guy.
He is big. He was big at lightweight.
He's definitely a bigger guy, and Magny definitely has that. He definitely has a
long.
He's
lanky,
definitely long, lanky guy, but he doesn't. He's not a guy that really uses his
Yeah.
reach, like I just said. He likes to keep things close.
Yeah.
You saw in the Ponzinibbio fight how uncomfortable he was when they were, because Ponzinibbio did such a good job keeping things at a distance. Yeah. I'm going Michael Kiesa. I'm gonna go via 4th round submission.
See, yeah, I mean, I'm looking at their, the resumes here, and Neil's got 3 losses in the UFC via submission. As good of a grappler as he is, that doesn't necessarily mean you just defend every submission, And even on Kiesa's end, he's been submitted 3 times. A submission specialist, just like Oliveira has been submitted a lot, even though
I think Neil Magny has more weapons.
Yeah.
But I think Kiesa has the strongest skill of the two.
Yeah.
His grappling is stronger
Yeah.
than anything that Magny offers, and then obviously it's the strongest thing Kiesa offers.
What do you think is going to happen if, say, they stay on the feet? How do you see the striking battle going here? Or do you think they're just going to go immediately to the fence and we're going to see 25 minutes of clinch work, grappling?
I think it's going to be a lot of clinch.
Hardly any striking at all.
A lot of that depends on who is the stronger fighter. I lean towards Kiesa having that advantage, but Magny's kind of he surprises you.
But the fight with Robbie, man,
he has some strength that you don't really see in how he his frame.
Yeah.
But a lot of that depends on who is the one forcing the other one against the cage. Is Magny going to be able to hold Kiesa against that cage, or is Kiesa going to be able to constantly turn it around on Magny? So really, on the feet, I think it's kind of a 50-50 fight, truthfully.
Yeah.
Just because, again, even though I would say Magny's probably a better striker,
yeah,
his style basically leads it to be a 50-50, because if Kiesa's going to strike, that's kind of playing into his hand a little bit.
Oh, and I almost wonder from a game planning perspective for each of these guys, like, is Neil going to want to be as clinch and grapple heavy, knowing how good Kiesa is?
It's hard to say. I'm only going off of what I've really seen from him at this point. Sure, their game plans could be totally different, but I'm sticking with the 4th round submission. I think Kiesa, ultimately, being that he has the best skill for a certain aspect of fighting out of the two, that's kind of where I'm leaning at. I think that'll pull through in the later rounds, especially.
Neil Magny, unanimous decision.
Nice.
This is tough. I'm very excited to see how this fight plays out. It really is a good main event. Don't sleep on this. It's important for both guys, and one of them is finally going to get the chance to crack through. And I think Magny's finally going to get it. Finally going to do it. He's thrown his name in the hat, wanting to fight guys like Hamzat on this. He's been super active in the past, hasn't been as active recently, and I think he's wanting to get that going again. Maybe it's just time for Neil,
Both guys are 33 years old as well.
This fight is so 50-50, man.
Yeah.
Like, I even saw on Verdict, where you predict the fights, we've talked about them in the past, 50-50 split. Everyone that's so far made the predictions for this fight, dead even at 50%. And you and me, you pick Kiesa, I pick Magny.
Yeah. I could totally see it going either way.
That is the fight, man.
Yep. And Neil Magny, I want to give this stat out there too. He's also one of 3 guys to win 5 fights in a calendar year.
Yeah. What year did he do that?
Ooh.
I think it was 14, 15?
You really put me on the spot there, Dom. It's 2014.
2014. Been in the UFC for a while.
The other 2 being Roger Huerta, who I believe was the first guy to be featured on a Sports Illustrated cover from MMA, and Kevin Holland, who did it this previous year. So he's an elite company there. I definitely think if Neil gets the upper hand and wins this fight,
Yep.
I think it's a decision.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't see Kiesa being finished, although Neil could. You know, I think when you have Kiesa, who is a strong grappler as he is, but he has been submitted quite a few times, I think that might be due to him being maybe overconfident. And he just kind of leaves himself open because he thinks...
We've seen that before, for sure.
Yeah. Like,
him
I think it might be a guy...
the Pettis fight was big.
The Pettis fight was big on him being just overconfident.
Yeah, big time. And we've not seen him act like that since, and
that's
paid
true.
dividends.
And he's looked really good once he made that move to welterweight.
Yep.
So, yeah, very excited for it, though.
Man, yeah. That's a great main event. It really is.
But until then, you guys can check these fights out on Wednesday. What time did the fight start, Dom?
Prelims at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard. Main card at noon. I believe it's actually going to be on ESPN.
It's on ESPN.
So some midday action.
Yeah.
Just chillaxing and watching fights. Can't wait for that.
You can also watch all of these on ESPN Plus per usual. That's how I'll be watching them whenever I find the time in the day.
Yeah.
But very excited to watch those. As for the rest of the week, Thursday we will be recapping all the fights that we just talked about, and then Friday we are previewing our first pay-per-view of 2021, UFC 257 co-main event. Dan, the Hangman Hooker, going up against Michael Chandler, Mr. Bellator, trying to show that he is the best lightweight in the world. What a tough first test for him here. And then, main event, Conor McGregor, the rematch in the 5 years in the making, 6 years in the making, going up against Dustin Poirier for a second time. Winner likely getting a title shot next.
Against who? Nobody knows.
But, yeah, that's going to be us breaking that down on Friday.
Saddle in for that one.
Yeah.
We are going to go down just so many paths for that episode, I think.
And then a week from, I guess yesterday's episode.
They were recording at least a week from.
We'll be recapping all of the fights from UFC 257.
Monday the 25th.
Wednesday, the 27th, we already talked about it. The state of
Conor McGregor.
Yeah, so be on the lookout for all of that. And we're obviously going to plug a lot of our social media stuff here, so make sure to follow us there. Check out Overtime Heroics. Dominic Salee, an elite company now as a writer. He is an MMA journalist officially, and he's a damn good one, so be on the lookout for him. But Dominic Salee, till then, tell the good people where they can find you on social media.
No, my friend, my co-host. Thank you for the kind words.
Of course.
Find me on Twitter. Find me on Instagram at dslee14. Find the podcast on Twitter, on Instagram at BAJ_MMA podcast.
And as for me, if you go to my bio on Twitter or Instagram at ntbaker_, you'll be taken to our link tree, which gives you the links to all the platforms that the podcast is on, along with our social media platforms. That includes the Twitter, the Instagram, the YouTube channel, along with Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. It's all on there, baby. And there's a couple links for the Anchor page. First, record a voice message. That's something we want to hit hard in 2021.
Do it.
If you have an opinion on an upcoming fight, or a fight that's already happened, if you have a hot take, if you have a thought on a news story,
episode ideas.
Yeah, episode ideas. If you just want to say hi or tell us that we fucking suck, do it there, and we'll put it on the podcast, dude. Come on now. So record it. That link is on that link tree, and there's a link if you want to become a supporter of the podcast. That just provides us with a few dollars a month, and all that money goes back into improving the quality of the podcast, whether it be audio equipment or down the line doing a video podcast. So again, you can find all of that if you go to my bio on Twitter or Instagram at ntbaker_. But with that, we're out, and we're going to see y'all on Thursday.